Did you know that fructose has a bigger impact on the liver than drinking? Our liver, the organ responsible for detoxifying the foods we eat, the organ responsible for producing bile so we can digest fat, which is actually essential for good health. It also manages the blood sugar by storing or creating sugar. And those are just a few things that the liver does that is so important for us to be able to live healthily. Like it even stores vitamins and minerals. The liver is a complex organ and we risk its health every time we drink one of those adult beverages, which is why many of us limit the amount of those adult beverages that we have. So, when I learned that fructose was ruining my liver health, and this isn't even strictly about fatty liver disease, I want to just point that out because liver issues also contribute to weight gain, joint pain, and other health issues. So the list is multiple. In order for us to succeed at weight loss, which is why a lot of you are watching my channel, we need to understand how we are inadvertently damaging our liver and therefore putting on weight. After 8 years in this low carb world, it actually only clicked to me about 6 years ago how much damage eating fruits and vegetables was having on my body. Let's take a look at why you're going to want to minimize the fructose in your diet.
Please subscribe.
First, I want to acknowledge that I made every mistake you could possibly make when it comes to fruit. When I was feeling good, I didn't eat any. Like, I hate fruit. I'm just honest answer. I hate it. I didn't have a piece when I was feeling good. But as soon as I needed to lose weight, I'd eat 2 to 3 servings a day. I was acting like fruit was some type of special medicine that I should have only when I'm not feeling good. When I'm trying to lose weight, that's when I should be eating fruit. And unfortunately, I try to lose weight often, right? More times than I want to count. I thought that fruit was something that was going to help me to heal my body and lead to weight loss. And I was certain that adding more vegetables to my meals, because that's another thing that I wasn't doing, I wasn't eating vegetables, would also help me to lose weight because we're supposed to have 4-ish servings of vegetables per day. And well, I was already doing well with grains, so I didn't have to do much there. Like I had rice every day and probably had bread every day as well. And I'd have pasta regularly. My grains were fine. Again, you're supposed to get lots of servings of those things. I don't think anybody is going to be surprised to hear that every time I cut back on junk food, ate more fruits and vegetables, and stopped drinking soda, I lost weight. And I always credited the addition of fruits and vegetables to my weight loss, right? Like I just thought this was what I needed to do. And I never once questioned that the fruit or the vegetables could be problematic at all. I didn't make this up, by the way. I've been told my entire life, as I'm sure you have been as well, that I should have been eating fruits and vegetables every day, practically at every meal. And I learned this originally in school, right? We had a health class and the teachers would go through it with us. And this is elementary school I'm talking about. As a matter of fact, my daughter and the boys were taught the exact same information when they were in elementary school. And my grandnieces, to this day, I have grandnieces in elementary school being taught this exact same information today. And every time I say grandnieces, it just reminds me how old I've gotten. But yes, I have grandnieces. When I was a kid, I remember that we would get little packs of nuts, seeds, and raisins. Like they were coming like a little see-through plastic, and they were only about this big. It was like a really small little package. We get them in elementary school at recess time with a box of milk for our snack. So nuts, seeds, raisins. Every day, we were expected to have fruit in our lunch boxes. And I actually remember that I had classmates and even some friends who came to school with cookies in their lunchbox, chocolate in their lunchbox, like any kind of fun, anything, chips in their lunchbox. And the teachers would actually take it away, write a note to the parent that that was an unacceptable snack, send fruit. We were not allowed to have junk in school. But then we transitioned to high school and everything changed. Almost everything, not everything, because the food rules were still the same. Even in high school, they spoke about eating healthy, but now we had a cafeteria and it was a paid cafeteria. And they wanted us to buy their meals and their snacks instead of eating lunches that we were bringing from home. And I will tell you that that is when the manipulation began. You put money in somebody's hand, even if it's a student, even if it's a 12 to 18-year old, and the manipulation begins. First, I want to point out that this high school is connected to the elementary school. Not like physically, but that elementary school fed this high school. The two schools had the same name, one elementary, one high. Okay? They're related schools. And yet, there was only one basket of fruit in the cafeteria for the hundreds of students in the school. Now, when I look back on that, I don't think that they expected every single student to buy an apple or a banana or like a peach. I don't think that like one basket for the entire school. No, it's impossible that that's what they thought. Now, maybe they had more fruit in the back. I'll give them that. But when you consider how many cookies they had out, how many, like everything else that was quick to buy and stupidity, bunches of them out because they knew they were going to get purchased, and one small basket of fruit. But more importantly, the competition for our lunch money was fresh baked cookies, ice cream sandwiches, brownies, and of course the healthy options, date square, fruit cup, and apples. Let me tell you one, Sawyer. That date square was just as sweet. I would probably even say a little sweeter than the brownies. I remember being the chocolate person, the person that chocolate was my downfall, left, right, and center, and I was buying what? The date square. That date square was the most delicious, what I thought was healthy option available to me. And honestly, Wellness Warrior, I now look back and realize it was just candy dressed up as a healthy option. Now, with that small basket of fruit, I want you to ask a question. I want to quiz you a little bit. How often do you think that I saw that basket of fruit empty? I'm going to give you a minute. Really want you to guess. Like, put your answer down in the. I was at that school for 5 years. How many times do you think I actually saw that people took fruit out of that basket and the basket was empty? I get there and there's none. Or even that there was missing fruit. I'll even give you that. How many times do you think I even saw missing fruit from the basket? Because that basket was. Matter of fact, also give me your guess. What do you think I had a harder time getting? A cookie or a piece of fruit? And I know that's not much of a quiz. But really, how often do you think it was empty? Because even with the fact that the staff used the exact same cafeteria that we used, and they were allowed to jump the line, I honestly think that I saw that fruit bowl like go down 3 times in the history that I was at that school. And the vegetable situation was similar in that high school. The most common veg that they would serve us was mashed potatoes or French fries. So potatoes, basically. All right. Occasionally we had steamed carrots, and sometimes we had those little green steamed peas too. But do you think that I was eating their powdered mashed potatoes? Because that's what they like. I could see the box. Like, again, it's a cafeteria. You can see them in the back cooking, and I saw the box of powdered mashed potato. I wasn't eating that. I would usually choose pizza with French fries, or I would go for spaghetti. So healthy, right? Just super healthy. Like this is the health. Like I learned to avoid vegetables at a very, very young age, right? In high school, I was avoiding all this stuff. What's ridiculous is that this high school had a curriculum about eating healthy, and every single student in that school needed to pass a fitness test every single year. So I'm looking back and I wonder how they could get away with not having fruits and healthy vegetables on their menu when they're going to force us to do a fitness test, and we did them every. But according to the rules, they did have healthy fruits and vegetables, right? Because they always had fruit juice available for us, and they also had ketchup available. Because did you know that ketchup apparently counts as a vegetable? So, ketchup, second ingredient, is high fructose corn syrup. But we're going to talk about high fructose corn syrup a little bit later. But think about that. Our school would receive deliveries of groceries to sell to us because, again, cafeteria, right? I'm talking about the high school. And I remember seeing the trucks with the images of fruits and vegetables and milk on the side of the truck that would show up from the grocery stores to bring the food for the students. And I'll tell you that milk, fruits, and vegetables is what most parents want their kids to be eating, right? You're sending their kid with lunch school to school with lunch money. You want them eating that good stuff. But in our cafeterias, those fruits, vegetables, and milk was like lost leaders to get us in the door because what do we smell down the hall? Cookies and pizza. And trust me, we were smelling those things down the hall all the way back into our classrooms. Food companies make money when we buy their stuff. That's it. It's a simple math equation. They sell us a slice of apple pie to make sure that we have a way to get our fruit in because not only will that cause us to chase and eat more, but we, as young people especially, see that as a fun and healthy option of a way to get in some apple. But is that actually healthy for my liver? Is it safe for my liver? My little body that's in there eating this stuff because the school and the companies are presenting them as if these are all options, right? Even though in the classroom they were telling us a different story. Now, high school happens to be where many of us get our first taste of those adult beverages. So let's take a look at how those adult beverages impact our liver. We are mostly warned about the dangers of drinking and driving. Like that, we hear that in school, we hear that from our parents, we see that in commercials. That danger is highlighted to us. They also teach us about the problems of us young ladies not having our wits about us if we're out drinking and there are boys around. So that we are also taught. But I cannot remember one statement in the health class where they told us that 90% of those adult drinks get processed by the liver. Not once do I remember them telling us that. Nothing about how processing would block our body's ability to use fat for fuel and force our liver to create and store fat, which causes real damage to the liver. That wasn't spoken about. Nobody explained that these drinks would block the liver from being able to produce the glucose we need to function, right? Or the bile we need to process the fat that we would eat. All of this is happening slowly over years of casual drinking, right? All of this damage is just happening slowly over years of casual drinking. And of course, if you were one of those, ambitious young people and you were more than casually drinking, well, it was just happening faster. In order to process one adult drink, we need NADH, which that gets released into our body to process that one adult drink. But we can only release enough NADH to process one drink per hour. So what happens if you drink more than one drink in an hour? That means that the excess of that drink, because it's not getting processed, will stay in your system and contribute to you feeling tipsy, right? And you have no choice but to wait until your body can recycle some NADH and then process the rest of that drink, or two or three, or however many drinks. I mean, some people can drink more than one, like several drinks in an hour. Now, those adult drinks impact us because they are stimulants at low doses. And then they are depressants at high doses. So, this is another thing that I think a lot of people don't realize. I just want to say it here. There's some people that they'll have these adult drinks and then they have them often. And you would think that they'd be happier people, but they are actually quite negative, and they're could be classified as depressed. And people don't put it together because these fun drinks are both stimulants at low doses, but depressants at high doses. Now, fructose is very different. First of all, we don't get tipsy when we eat fruit. There's no stimulant effect or depressant impact of fructose. It doesn't do that. But what does happen is much more concerning for those of us who want to lose weight. All of the fructose we eat gets sent to the liver, where the fructokinase, is released until all of the fructose is metabolized. So our body does not allow there to be fructose floating around that isn't metabolized. It's going to metabolize it. And there is no delay. So that means that if you ate fruit from morning and you just had like fruit all day long till evening, the entire day your body was processing fructose. This doesn't just drain the liver, right? If you eat enough fruit and we deplete the liver's energy, this triggers uric acid to release. And like when you release uric acid, that shuts down our ability to use fat for fuel. Uric acid floating around in you means your body is not burning any kind of fat off of you, right? We're holding on to it. But uric acid release also does something else. It blocks our liver's normal repair process. So we are eating the stuff that's gumming up the liver, and then the liver can't even repair. Every gram that we eat gets rerouted into what? Fat storage. Deliberately. Because in the history of eating fructose, it's only ever been seasonally available. Right? So just like other animals, when we are eating something that's meant to fatten us up, our body's expecting us to get fattened up, right? It's preparing us for winter. Again, this wouldn't be a problem if we were only having fructose in that one little season per year. But we have it year round. Because where is it? Well, the most abundant source of fructose is fruit. Or at least it used to be, until they came up with this high fructose corn syrup stuff. And they decided to add it to everything. Right? It's in our spaghetti sauces. It's in our cookies. It's in you go to your cupboard right now and pull something out and turn it over. I'm gonna guess you're gonna see high fructose corn syrup in there, or one of the other words they use because they've learned to like change the word. But we are constantly eating things with fructose in it without us knowing. That same fruit that they tell us to ease our dieting experience and still cater to our sweet tooth, right? It blocks weight loss and pretty much shuts down our liver's normal functioning. And when my weight loss stopped, like back then when it stopped happening after maybe a month or two of dieting and having a few fruits a day, what did I do? How frustrated do you think I was? Yeah, hella frustrated. And I wish that that was the entire story, but it actually gets worse because every time that I dieted, I do all the smarter, healthier choices to give myself the best chance at losing weight. So I'd buy the healthiest cereals. We put milk in cereal. I'd add yogurt to my dessert list instead of ice cream, right? Because yogurt is healthier than ice cream. Even though yogurt, when they have flavored yogurt, because heaven forbid I wasn't eating plain, has like a bunch of sugary fruit flavors added to it, so fructose, but I didn't know that, but yogurt. And of course, when I would have supper, because I didn't want to have soda, I would drink what? I would have a glass of milk because I actually like milk, or a glass of juice. Either way. But milk is good for the bones, right? And it's good for the teeth. I'm doing all the good things to make myself nice and strong. What I didn't realize was that galactose, which is the sugar in dairy, right? That it is 90% metabolized in our liver, right? 90% metabolized in our liver, just like those adult drinks. 90%, right? And just like fructose, it slows down liver function and fattens us up pretty nicely. So, how long do you think it took before I gave up and went back to eating normally because I had the fructose slowing me down and then I had the galactose slowing me down? The weight wasn't moving anymore. How long do you think it took me to give up when the weight stopped moving? Wait. I almost forgot. Uric acid. Because uric acid doesn't just get reabsorbed quietly into the body, right? What happens to uric acid is that it crystallizes in our joints, making it extremely uncomfortable to move. Now, if you've ever had gout, I had that, or joint pain, I had that. You know what I'm talking about. There was a study that showed that drinking one sugary drink per day increased the risk of gout by 45%. 45%. How many sugary drinks was I drinking per day? At least two. I used to have one at lunch and one at supper when I wasn't being good and drinking milk, which is, by the way, still a sugary drink. But I, so across 125,000 people, high fructose intake nearly doubled in risk by drinking something sugary. That's any source of fructose, Wellness Warrior. It doesn't have to be just a drink. Just so you know, if you've never had gout, excruciating, excruciating. Joint pain, horrible, right? The joint pain, the one in my hip, was what caused me to become a keto, like to find keto, because I just couldn't take this pain in my hip. And I didn't, I was on a waiting list for surgery, but like I don't even think I was going to make it there. Excruciating pain. Like, it's crazy to me that I used to walk around in the pain that I was walking around in. If you don't have it yet, I really encourage you to take what I'm saying so seriously. Like, take it to heart what I'm saying to you right now, because you can avoid yourself a world of discomfort and pain. And I cried actual tears. My body hurt so much. If you already have joint pain, this is what I was talking about at the beginning of this video. This whole idea that it's not just about potential fatty liver disease. Your body is in pain because your liver is doing stuff in reaction to all the fructose, galactose, and fun drinks that we keep drinking. This is not just about fatty liver. It's joint pain. It's weight gain. And all of it is coming from foods. So foods that we never question. We don't question them because we've been told our entire lives that they're the healthiest things we can eat. But the research on how much fructose we can manage is based on them looking at liver damage and mortality rates. So let's think about that for a second. We are trying to lose weight and feel good. They are looking for liver damage and mortality. Those two things are too far apart. I find it really strange that we have loads of data that show that weight gain happens with those adult drinks, with fructose, with galactose. But somehow we are continually told that fruits, vegetables, and dairy are healthy and we should be having them as much as possible. And of course, we are told that a glass of wine at supper has some benefits against heart attack, type 2 diabetes, and colon cancer, just to name a few that was in the huge list that I found. All the while ignoring the impact on our liver, on weight gain, and on joint pain. Things that people walk around with complaining about. I complained to my doctor so much about my joint pain. I didn't complain about my weight because I really just thought I needed to eat better and have more fruit. But do you see the problem there? Do you see the problem? Now, the good news is that our body, because it's prepared to take care of us all the time, that's what it's meant to do, has some ability to filter fructose from our food in the intestines. So our body can filter out some fructose. But researchers' best guess is that it can only manage to filter about 5 grams of fructose, which would be equivalent to about a quarter of an apple. That's not much considering that everything we buy in the groceries, or almost everything that we buy in the grocery store, has fructose added to enhance our need to consume it, right? Because they need to keep us overeating. So they salt, sugar, fat, right? They need to add the right combination. But I'm not going to dive into that right now because I know if I start talking about that, we're never going to end this video. So I have a video I'm going to link at the end if you want to go deeper into why salt, sugar, that whole idea, but or why fructose is bad, I should say. But most attempts that we're going to make at moderation is going to cause us to fail because we aren't reading the labels on our savory things like spaghetti sauce or like any kind of sauce, or we're not reading the labels to know that there's fructose in those non-sweet tasting foods as well. All right, we have no idea how widely used fructose is, the same way that we don't know that there's salt in soda. Like, why would we think there'd be salt in soda? But there is, right? The right combination, salt, sugar, fat. So there's salt in soda and there's sugar in that or fructose in that savory stuff. Instead of looking for a lower limit, I'm suggesting that you try your best to have the least amount of fructose you possibly can have, the least amount of galactose you possibly could have, and of course, the least amount of those adult drinks. Every gram you don't eat is a gram your liver isn't turning into fat or uric acid, right? And if you're doing keto, cutting the obvious sugar doesn't mean that you're in the clear, right? Like vegetables have fructose in them. The sweeter the vegetable, the more likely the higher the fructose content, right? So you actually need to take that vegetable, put it in your food calculator to figure out like how much fructose is in there, because remember, your intestines can only filter out about 5 grams. And if you're new to keto, I want to say welcome, first of all. Like, if I'm introducing you to this idea, terrific. I'm Violet, and I actually have a special gift for you. My free course on how to do keto is linked in the description. Go and take the course. It is free, and it's going to help you to start the right way and make sure that you can maintain it forever. Because, again, this isn't about rebound eating, right? Like, you were trying to correct something here. Everything you need to know is in that course, and it's brought to you by these wonderful people. Channel supporters help me provide this information for free. So if you'd like to become a channel member, the link is also in the description below. Now, if you're carnivore, this is where the dairy side really does stand out, because you've taken all the carbohydrates out of your life. But if you're still having cheese, if you're still having cream in your coffee, and like if you're still doing this, you need to be careful, because those cheeses and creamers and anything that has dairy in it, galactose is still impacting you. All natural, which is what dairy and, like fruit, fructose, all natural things are still working against our goal of weight loss, Wellness Warrior. Now, I doubt that any of you would choose to destroy your liver. I don't think that any of us are looking to be unhealthy on purpose. We absolutely understand that our organ health is at the center of staying healthy. But somehow we are listening to companies about what foods are healthy, how many fun drinks are okay based on our gender, not even based on our weight. Women get this many, men get that. That's garbage, right? We all know anything medicinal has a weight attached to it, not a gender. So social norms also dictate how often we eat dessert, not our medical status. That's another mistake that's happening. I see diabetics having dessert, drinking juice, and basically any healthy high carb food they're ingesting, because we've been told that it's healthy. Like if it has a healthy label on it, no matter how it's impacting our body, no matter how our body is screaming, we keep having it because we're listening to what they're telling us rather than listening to our body. Fixing this is not an overnight solution. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and be lighter because you're fixing what I'm talking about. Although I will say that I lost 70 pounds in 5 months because I stopped having junk food and took the fruit out of my diet and really focused myself on meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and low glycemic vegetables. 5 months, Wellness Warrior. And I've kept it off, as you can see, for 8 years. So is that worth changing your eating habits? You need to tell me. Again, put that in the description below. Is that worth changing your eating habits? The diet industry lures us with fast weight loss and fun tasting diet foods. But even if we get their results, so that fast weight loss with their diet foods, it doesn't last. It doesn't last because the foods that they're getting us to eat still have all these things in it. And just like I was doing to myself with the fruit in my diet, that stuff ends up impacting our liver and creating a problem. This, what I'm talking about, isn't a fast fix. This is eating real food, meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and the lowest glycemic vegetables you possibly can have. And if you, after a few months of eating those low glycemic vegetables and you start to get the hang of it, want to go carnivore, that's great, but do it for a few months keto before you choose carnivore. And I have another video that you can go to my channel and search for it to know why that's the case. But this is a process that takes some people 1 to 2 years to get to their goal weight. But the good news is that after that 1 to 2 years, it sticks, right? There's no rebound weight gain because there's no rebound junk food eating. This is about more than weight loss. Although the weight loss feels good. I'm not going to lie and say the weight loss doesn't feel. I can go to the store today and buy off the rack anything I want. Most things fit me right now, right? Like there's no more of me worrying that like something is going to not fit me right. The real win, although weight loss is great, the real win is that we stop working against our bodies, right? We stop giving money to stupid companies and systems that aren't about our health, that don't care that we are suffering, right? All they want is our money while they quietly sit and wait for us to need medication, procedures, prosthetics, creams and potions, and like they want surgical procedure. They want us to just eat the wrong thing so they get our money there, and then do the procedure so they get our money there. And we don't realize that we're not actually getting any better. The best part of eating properly, Wellness Warrior, the best part isn't actually the weight loss. I do think getting away from the companies is great, but that's not even the best part. The best part is that we get to live our lives. And we get to live our lives doing whatever activities make us happy, rather than planning our entire day around food, right? Every moment around food. What am I eating for breakfast? What am I eating for lunch? Oh my gosh, I have to have a snack between breakfast and lunch. Like we're constantly thinking about, I remember it. I was constantly thinking about food. Because why? Because I was hungry all the damn time. Because why? Because my hormones were, like, again, we don't understand how this liver thing impacts everything, right? Everything. I'll tell you right now, it feels good to eat once or twice a day rather than constantly having food on the mind. Because that's what I do now. I eat once, maybe twice a day. I haven't eaten anything yet today, and it is currently 4:02. Control is not about getting to a certain weight on a scale. Controlling your life means that you know that whatever you're eating lines up with the health that you want to have. And not only that it lines up with the health that you want to have, that it's going to help you to live as long as possible healthily, right? Like knowing that because I eat properly, I'm going to live as long as possible healthily. I know I'm going to get sick at some point. But considering that under the age of 46, I was walking around in pain and unhealthy and all the time upset because again, it impacts everything. Now I get to be healthy. Now I get to do my activities. I started bouldering at this age, well, a few years ago, 3 years ago. I mean, Monswer, if you'd like to know the places that they're hiding the fructose in your food so that you can stop eating the stuff that's causing you to feel horrible, this is the video for you to watch next. Click on the link, and I'm going to meet you over there on the road to health.